While researching the current oil tanker situation in the Singapore Strait, that's a subject for an upcoming video that you might find interesting. A lot of empty oil tankers just floating around. I discovered something interesting. On 31st of July of 2021, the United States Justice Department seized a small oil tanker, and I am talking a small oil tanker, capacity of 2,734 tons. Pipsqueak. It's a picture of her right here. The MT Courageous, owned by some poor guy named Kwek Kee Seng, who remains at large, according to the Justice Department. She was seized by the United States. Ownership was forfeited by a New York federal judge, because she was evading sanctions and delivering oil or other products, whatever, to the North Koreans, DPRK. Now, this is in violation of both U.S. and UN sanctions, so nobody should be giving them oil. But something very interesting shows up, and that's the fact that this little oil tanker was apparently breaking the law. Well, in 2017, another oil tanker was breaking the law, apparently, and Justice didn't see fit to do anything about that. Let's take a look at that. We're going to review something I said a couple of months ago. Now we need to take a look at the ALNIC herself, a 183-meter long tanker, 32.2 meters wide, 7 meters of draft. Here's the deal. At the time of the collision, and still today, according to marine traffic, the ALNIC is owned, and I kid you not, by Stealth Marine Corporation. Going back to her earlier list of names, you'll notice that in 2011, the vessel was known as the Tandara Spirit. Tandara Spirit is now a corporation that imports booze from Brazil. So I'm guessing that they didn't want to confuse people and think that it was coming in by the tanker load, and the name was changed to the Navig-8. Get it? Navig-8 Stealth SV in 2015. The obvious similarity between the name in 2015 and the name of the owner listed on marine traffic, and the fact that this list has not been updated despite an apparent change of ownership, leads me to believe that the ownership of the vessel didn't change, but that the owner changed its name. Now, Stealth Marine is a case all by itself, because good luck trying to find out who they are, or who the officers are, or if anybody else owns them. If you can figure that out and track it down, let me know, because I couldn't. So why does any of this matter? Who really cares about what a 13-year-old oil tanker is doing, where it's at, and how it goes about conducting its business? I'll tell you why I think it matters, because I think I have uncovered something that bears upon the accident, and it's something I don't think the Navy addressed, and for reasons that either they didn't notice, or they didn't care, or they're willingly covering something up. On 29 July, the ALNIC departed China and rounded the Korean Peninsula on July 31. It bypassed Busan and Ulsan, where tankers usually go. Now, this is a little hard to make out, so let me explain it. You're seeing the course of the ALNIC. The right-hand leg at the bottom of the screen is it's traveling generally northeast direction, and the leg on the left on the bottom is its return course. Now, you'll note the arrow saying 731 gives its course and its speed, 13.6 knots. That's the last reported position for its transponder until the arrow you see near the top. On the 4th of August, at 8:06 Universal Time, it was sitting still, doing 0.9 knots. It was just kind of swinging at anchor. 4 days after she shut her transponder off in crowded waters, and I'll explain why that's important in a minute, she's sitting at anchor with her speed given at 13.6 knots, allowing for reductions in speed and course changes. She still would have made the point of the uppermost arrow by approximately 0700 universal time on the 1st of August, if that's where she had gone. Obviously, she didn't go there. She went somewhere in North Korea, which is fine. China is an ally of North Korea, so that in and of itself isn't particularly curious. Wherever she went in North Korea and whatever she delivered from the Chinese, we're not likely to find out. In any case, by the 4th, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Universal Time, she was sitting at this coordinate right here. I would direct your attention now to the departure course from the Korean Peninsula. That's that long lead head out into the China Sea. They had shut the transponder off way up there by the peninsula, barely out of fairly dense waters, right about there, and we're headed south. The last reported speed was about 13 knots or so. She shows up briefly. The transponder went on briefly at the point you see on the screen right now. Wasn't on very long. It was a single point, and then off again. And then it reappears once again at the point you see circled on the screen now. Now, so far, none of that's particularly unusual. But something happened shortly after this. The ALNIC departs Taiwan, 15 August, 12:05 Universal Time. That's 8:05 local time. Her speed is 11.5 knots. 50 minutes later, she altered course to 180 degrees. Increased her speed to 12.5 knots, and shut her transponder off. Now, the course you see is not straight south. Obviously, she traveled a different course. But if we draw a straight line between where her transponder was shut off and where the transponder was turned on again in the extremely crowded Singapore Strait, she would have had to be making in excess of 19 knots to make that trip. And since I think it's highly unlikely that she traveled the course you see there, she was making well over 19 knots. Tankers like the ALNIC MC are capable of speeds in excess of 20 knots. It's not necessarily economical, but if they were in a hurry to get somewhere, they could do it with relative ease. But here's the thing. The transponder was off. Now, transiting the open ocean, that's no great problem. And for those of you who think that she was simply out of range of the terrestrial stations, here's the thing. Her transponder was not turned on again. It did not register anything until about 3 minutes after she rammed the McCain at 5:24. So that's it. We know that the United States Department of Justice seizes oil tankers that are apparently delivering illegal oil, that are breaking the UN and US embargoes to the DPRK. And we know that in 2017, an oil tanker that had apparently just done that very thing rammed a United States warship under circumstances that are still a little bit unclear, and that's the last we heard of it. I won't cast aspersions on any particular person or organization, but this smells vaguely like there was a payoff to somebody somewhere to just forget all about it. Wonder if the DOJ would like to look into it now.